Traveling to a restrictive country with internet censorship? A VPN is the answer. And surf the internet with no restrictions.
The Keystone wallet is the wallet that you want to be using to keep your crypto safe. Whether you are a Bitcoin maxi or an altcoin lover, it is perfect for you. Easy to use, 3 secure elements, and integrates easily with MetaMask, Kepler, and dozens of other extension wallets. Get one now to keep your crypto safe and secure. Go to bit.ly/CryptoRichKeystone. This is an audio recording of an X Space courtesy of thecoinrepublic.com, the go-to place where you can keep up to date with what's happening in the crypto space. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Crypto Pulse X Space, hosted by myself, Crypto Rich, and this is courtesy of the Coin Republic, thecoinrepublic.com. This is a crypto news website, the place to go if you want to find out what's happening in the world of crypto. Now we're going to be having Rolf Versus join us. Versus, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but I may not be. And he is one of the team at Horizen. And Horizen, formerly Zencash, is one of the oldest cryptocurrency projects going. So this is Rolf and Zen are OGs of the crypto space. Now, before I introduce Rolf, there's a few things I want to say. First off, if you're not already following the Coin Republic, please do so. And you can do that if you're watching this, if you're listening to this on X by clicking on their icon, and that'll take you to their X account, because we keep doing more and more of these on a weekly basis, these X spaces. And then also please follow me on X, Crypto Rich YT, and you can also follow me on YouTube, Crypto Rich and Crypto Rich BTC, also on Rumble, ODYSEE, 3Speak, Podbean, and Brighteon. Oh, and BitChute as well. But if you're in the UK, you need to use a VPN to listen to BitChute, because the government wants to keep us safe from all the stuff that's on BitChute. I want to let you know, none of this is investment advice. Please do not think that anything that I say is any sort of inducement to go and sell all your worldly goods to put them into this particular cryptocurrency or any other cryptocurrency. You and you alone are responsible for any decisions that you make with regards to your finances. Okay, Rolf, if you could please come off mute.
Hey, Rich. How's it going?
Rolf. I can hear you loud and clear, and you can hear me, right?
That's correct.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this again, because we did have some technical difficulties last time. So I appreciate this.
Absolutely. And this time works out really well, and glad that you have a number of dedicated listeners. So looking forward to talking for sure.
Yes. And as well as this X space, this will be on the Coin Republic X feed. It'll be there. Plus also at some point I will upload it onto my channels so that people who are interested in Zen can also listen to it then. Okay. Well, do you want to start by just saying a little bit about you and your role at Zen, and then we'll get into the history of Zen?
Sure, absolutely. So I co-founded Zen back in 2017 and worked to promote it a lot for a few years, then took some time off. And then a couple of years ago, went back to work with Horizen Labs, the labs company that works with Zen, and have done a number of different roles in there. Most recently, working with exchanges, we moved Zen from being a layer 1 to being a token on Base network, with preparation to relaunch as a layer 3 app chain on Base. So I do a lot of things with external organizations and work with the Horizen Labs team. And right now I'm specifically working for the Horizen Foundation, because a few years back Horizen transitioned ownership to a DAO and a foundation based in Cayman Island as part of the decentralized governance. And so I work directly for the foundation for the good of Zen.
Wow, okay. Well, shame on me for forgetting that you were a co-founder. Because
That's why you reached out to me, because we talked so many years ago, and you're like,
yeah.
I know, Rolf's important with Zen, so...
Yeah, no, I was with Zen right from the beginning, because if I remember correctly, Zen was a fork of Zcash, but it split. There was Zen and Z Classic.
So almost. And if you go to the Horizen with a ZEN at the end, the YouTube channel, you can look at the oldest videos, and you'll see that I made the oldest 8-year-old announcement videos on YouTube for Horizen. So Zcash launched in 2016, and a few months after that, some folks pulled out the 10% fee to Zcash and started a new chain copying the Zcash code called Zclassic. So, yep, you're right about that. And then I was doing GPU mining at the time. I was mining Zclassic. It was listed on Bittrex. It was going great. And I'm like, so I was talking to some of the other folks in the chat. I'm like, well, how do we get Zclassic on Ledger, and how do we improve it and stuff like that? And like, nobody really wants to do that. We'll have to do a chain split. So we actually did a chain split with Zclassic in May of 2017, and both chains continued for a while. And the difference, we did some, these days it's called tokenomics, and ways of ensuring longevity of projects. It's much more engineering type activity. But we did an early version of tokenomics where we said, well, a certain percentage is going to go to the GPU miners, another percentage is going to go to people that hold their Zen and stake it to run nodes worldwide, and another portion is going to go to the foundation to do marketing and continued software development. So that was our early tokenomics of splitting up the block rewards, and
Yes.
we continued on from there.
Yes, and it's quite a I suppose a history or a legacy that you have, that you're still around. I mean, not you personally, Rolf, but Zen Horizen is such an old player in the crypto space, and you're still around because Zclassic ultimately, for whatever reason, didn't succeed, and Zen has just gone from strength to strength. And one of the things I noticed about Zen is that it's gone through several iterations.
It has. Now, one of the earliest things that people would ask me is, who's the competitor to Zen? And it's the same as in all these other projects that are trying to build the new financial rails. It's a totally blue ocean environment. We're creating something new. So none of the projects are really competitors to each other. Instead, the early threat to Zen was that nobody cared that Zen existed. So part of what we did very early on was we made sure to try to engage people worldwide. It wasn't automatic translation, so we manually translated all our documentation and other things like that to Chinese and to Spanish. And so one of the fortunate things that's helped Horizen be a long-lived project is to have many people around the world that support us and our team. And then the other thing we did was do some just very basic things that people in the business world expect. So we set expectations. We try to say, if we're going to do something, that we do it. And if for some reason we're not able to accomplish it, we go through and say, well, we tried. This is why it didn't work out. This is, what the concern and issue is, and this is what we're going to do next. And there are a few iterations. Before I talk about those, happy to pause.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. It's great because normally when I do video interviews, you pick up visual cues. So thank you for the pause. Because the other thing I want to say is how my experience of Zen over the years, because it's been like I'll have contact with them for a while and then not for a while and then again and then not and then again and then not. Because I've been in the crypto space since April 2017. Well, that's when I started vlogging. That it is a well-run project. Because as far as I can gather, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're financially viable, you're still involved. I think Rob is still involved. Please give him my regards. And you do have a working structure that has prevailed. And that's so rare, especially when I think of how many projects launched in 2016 and 2017 and then disappeared.
There are a lot of those projects. I think part of the decision was the early decision to put in funding for the foundation. There are other projects that did that as well. And Rob is still very involved. So, as one of the other still active co-founders, he and I both have a military background, very results-oriented type thing. So we both have the vision that we want to accomplish big things. And building the financial rails of an alternative is really important. So, yes.
Go on, please.
Yeah, no, I was sorry, I was distracted by some notification on my computer. But one of the early things that I came at it from was as a business owner, where if we were going to be doing payments, then we had to do what I call business level privacy, where your customers can't see, your competitors can't see your customer payments, and your employees can't see what every other employee gets paid. So, that's why we had the initial idea for Zen to be a private payments platform. And that started out as a good idea. It just, real life is a lot more complicated. And so we continued with that and tried and worked to improve it over the years. So there were a couple different iterations of the improvements. And happy to talk about those. I know but I threw a lot out there already.
Yes, thank you. And is just very quickly, because I want to mention Grayscale, and then we'll go into the iterations. Is Zen still a privacy crypto?
So the problem with being a crypto that has just complete privacy for payments is that as the crypto space has grown, the people that want to use crypto, small businesses, people, they have to stay in compliance with their local government regulators. And in order to stay in compliance with their local government regulators, especially in places like Korea and other places, Zen was removed from the exchanges. Zen was listed on Upbit and BitThumb, as well as OKX and Gate, and was removed from all those exchanges because of the very basic private payments capability. And so, because Horizen had moved to a foundation and a DAO, a vote was held, and it was voted to remove privacy from Zen to prevent further exchange delistings. Because a lot of people in Korea, they would buy Zen and they would own it and they would hold it on the exchange. I know a lot of people do that with their crypto, and so they were forced to sell their Zen by getting the delisting. So the idea was that we would still work to have, and we don't really call it privacy anymore, because privacy is a feature, and what in a lot of cases you want is the benefit of privacy. Like when I work with different institutions, I have to share a lot of my personal data, my address, my passport, my things like that. And some of those institutions, they don't hold on to that information very securely. So now I get a bunch of texts and emails and phone calls from people that have hacked some of these organizations where my private information was uploaded to, and so I'm getting people attempting to scam me and cheat me out of stuff. So privacy is the feature, but the benefit is by only having to share the minimal information in every situation, you increase the security of everybody that's transacting.
Right. Yes. No, I get it. There's value in both, and there are uses for both. Because if you're a business, then you do have to unprivate. You have to make your transactions apparent to auditors for tax purposes and compliance purposes. So absolutely okay. And I just want to mention Grayscale. Now, people will know Grayscale because they're a trust and they hold BTC and ETH. But also, a few months ago, they decided to hold Zen, which personally I think is an endorsement of the project, because they will have done their compliance and their investigation to make sure that this is a viable project that's worth them holding on to, investing in, and then making it available through their trust. Do you just say something about what happened with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in addition to the individual users buying Zen and holding on to it, and when you buy a token, you're voting with your wallet to say that you support the goals of that organization. So, and then it's a self-selecting membership into an organization saying, we like what you're doing, and we want to support you, and we're going to buy your token. And so, in addition to the individual users that are doing that, it's really important for investors to see that as well. And so, actually, Grayscale has owned Zen and had the Grayscale Horizen Trust, which you can purchase as a regular stock brokerage, for many years. I'm not sure when it first started, maybe 2018 or 2019. They recently published that they're reaffirming the Grayscale Horizen Trust because we went through a major change earlier this year. In July, we shut down our 2 legacy custom blockchains, transitioned to the base token, and that's in preparation for relaunching as a layer 3 EVM app chain on base. So we weren't actually sure that the exchanges would support the major migration or our investors, because it's a rather big pivot to go from having a standalone layer 1 blockchain that's very similar to Bitcoin to being a token in the Ethereum and base ecosystems.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's just reminding me of something, because I should have said this at the beginning. I do hold some Zen, but I've got it in an offline wallet, and I don't know if have I missed out on converting it to base or something.
So the really nice thing that we've been able to build over the years is that Horizen Labs has a group of people that's really good at doing zero-knowledge proofs, integrating zero-knowledge proofs into blockchains. We've done that in a few different ways over the years, building blockchains and doing things in a secure and stepwise manner. So Horizen Labs CTO Zane Cheng a few years back implemented the Agile software delivery methodology, and so we just deliver on schedule. And so to answer your question, if you have Zen in an offline wallet, you have to go to the claiming page where you basically say, hey, here's my base address, and here's my Zen address or my Zen private key, and then you sign a message, and it unlocks your Zen on the base network. So you haven't missed out. And this is, so we've got a smart contract that we deployed on base, and by going to that claiming website, and make sure you're going to the right one from the main Horizen website, because there's been scam websites popping up, and then you go into the Telegram and ask for questions, and you immediately get direct messages from scammers saying, oh, I'll help you claim your Zen. So make sure you go to our official website, horizen.io, and go to the claiming page and follow the instructions there. And you'll be able to claim your Zen on base. And then you'll be immediately able to do DeFi type things. Zen has good trading pairs on Uniswap and Aerodrome right now.
Hold on a second. We'll come to that. Thank you for that. I bought some BNB for $1 each in 2017. And then I missed the 1 year window because I had it in a offline.
Oh man!
Oh my God, that was so painful. So I don't want that to happen to Zen. But there's something that you said that's really, really important, and I do want to stress for everybody, whether it's with Zen or any other cryptocurrency, make sure you are going to the right website. And the website for Horizen is horizen.io. And one thing people should do with any website is you got to check the certificate is valid. And because we're an audio, I can't show you how to do that, but there's a way of doing that in the URL. Perhaps you can ask Google, how do I check whether a website certificate is valid or not? Plus also, if you ever get a DM from somebody on Telegram, hey, listen, I'm Crypto Rich, let me help you. No, they're scammers. There are absolute scammers. I've met 3 other Crypto Riches on Telegram, and none of them are me. So that's really important. And I, just on Grayscale. Grayscale, that's it. Some of the other cryptocurrencies that they hold: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, XRP, Zcash, Aave, Chainlink, Avalanche, Maker. These are all top 100 cryptocurrencies. Now, currently, Horizen is 442 by CoinMarketCap. So it has been a top 100 currency, and it isn't currently, but Grayscale see enough value in this project, in this, forgive me, Rolf, in this little project, small altcoin, that's nevertheless, it's been around for a while, that, okay, we think it's worth investing in alongside our Bitcoin and Ethereum holdings. And I think that speaks volumes for the credibility and also the longevity and the prospects of this project. This, by the way, is my personal opinion. I
appreciate you saying that. And I think they see this similar vision that we share. And the team has done a really good job of executing over the years.
Yes.
So I can only imagine that's why. And Rob does a very good job of working with investors and sharing the vision and talking about the plans and what we've accomplished, and that helps as well. It also helps that we have an office in New York City. I mean, New York City is it used to be London, but now I think it's New York City as the financial capital of the world. So there's a lot of people that are influential in the finance space there, and it's good to be able to meet them on short notice.
Right. Okay. Good. Thank you. And once again, please do give my regards to Rob. Now let's go to what you were saying about Horizen on DeFi, on the base token, which is currently available, right? And it's what people are going to be trading in. And if they go to the exchanges where it's currently available, like Binance and HTX, then they'll be getting the base token. So what can this base token do?
Well, let me tell you briefly how we got there, just to kind of close the loop on that, because what we realized, and I alluded to this earlier, is if we're building alternative financial rails to the current centralized banking system, they have to be equal or better than what you can get currently in a centralized system, and we have to bridge people over from the existing systems to where we want them to be. And the existing system, it works pretty good, even though it's centralized. There's point of sale systems where you can go to a store and use your credit card. There's credit card systems. There's worldwide payment systems that is connected into payroll and accounting and other systems like that. So all those types of interconnections are going to have to be built, and they are in the crypto space. And so what we realized early on as part of the development was that we needed to have smart contracting capability, because just being a Bitcoin type with privacy capabilities wasn't going to get us to the granularity of being able to work with all these other systems. And so this being on base and launching as base L3 is actually the third attempt at doing this, getting smart contracting capability. The first was when Zen went to, I think it was even a top 50 project at one point. The team was building out side chains, so ZK protected side chains, where one of the side chains was going to be a smart contracting side chain, and then have multiple other ones for other purposes. And that was during the 21 period time frame. Great vision. I think just kind of missed the bull market on that. And then there wasn't as much appetite afterwards. And then 2 years ago, the Horizen Labs team launched just a single side chain of it was called Horizen Eon, an EVM, and that gave us smart contracting capability and the ability to move Zen back and forth between the chains, and that allowed us to move from a nonprofit foundation to a DAO. And so we saw that running these two blockchains gave us the capability that we wanted, but we also needed to have really good applications that people wanted to use, make it easy for people to get onto our chain, and to have a decent amount of money for development. And as of last year, we didn't really have that, and so we had to come up with a different way to do things. So being on base is that other way to do things.
Okay, but why base? Of all the EVMs that are available, why base?
Yeah, so within the Ethereum space, which I think is really the most mature, well-defined, has the best developers, things like that. There's many projects that will launch L2s, layer 2s. Now, what we saw in researching the space was each layer 2 blockchain on top of Ethereum would then have to do a lot of work to build their ecosystem of people and applications and get people to move over to them. And that was a lot of work to do. Now, last summer, Horizen Labs worked with Arbitrum and the Ape Foundation, the Bored Apes, which to launch Ape Chain as a layer 3 Orbit chain on Arbitrum. And we saw how effective that was, because Arbitrum has a large ecosystem of users, many different Orbit chains that are purpose specific. And so when we initially started evaluating which way to go, we definitely talked to Arbitrum about being an Orbit chain, because we don't want to. It's duplicative to build out all the different things that a layer 2 needs to operate. Instead, we wanted to focus on the applications that would specifically help us fulfill our vision. And that's why being a layer 3 EVM on top of a layer 2 ecosystem was the way to go. And so, and really Arbitrum was last year, the organization that was doing that the best. However, Base has really taken off. There's been so much growth in the Base ecosystem. You can see that Aerodrome as a DEX is oftentimes, depending on the day, the most popular DEX in the space. And so we asked the Base team if they were planning on doing layer 3s, and they were. And so Horizen is signed up to be one of the first 6 layer 3 app chains in Base, and it has a very special configuration. It fit exactly what we were looking to do. The special thing that the Base app chains do is they used one of these advanced features, and I'll talk about these more, but it's a secure enclave, a TEE, so an execution environment that's secure, to move tokens from Base to their app chains in less than 2 seconds with full finality. That means that if we built specific applications on a layer 3 app chain on Base, we could get people to move their tokens from Base to our app chain, use the application, and then move back. So we would basically be an extension of the rapidly growing Base ecosystem for very specific types of applications. That's why Base.
Okay. And I suppose low fees, fast execution times. I personally haven't done much with Base at all as yet, but that may change as I transfer my Zen holdings. Now I'm finding I'm getting a little bit confused.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me here. So if I am, then chances are perhaps people listening to this are. So if you could just distinguish layer 1, 2, and 3, and this is how I understand it, and this is a very crude way of doing it though, right? It's not entirely accurate. It's a very crude simplification. So a layer 1 chain might be like Bitcoin or Ethereum, a foundation chain, and then layer 2 would be something that's built on top of Ethereum, like for example Matic or Near. Layer 3 chain? What's that, Rolf?
Well, okay, so layer 2 chains came about because Ethereum was full, right? So there was too many transactions happening. You wanted to do a single transaction on Ethereum. It was costing you $10, $20. So layer 2 chains were a way to extend and scale Ethereum. So yeah, like Polygon or Near, or there's many different layer 2 chains. So some of the bigger ones are Optimism, Arbitrum, Base, and so people have to, they move their tokens from the Base layer 1 Ethereum to the layer 2, and then they tend to use their tokens within that ecosystem. And the nice thing about an ecosystem is it comes with hundreds of thousands, probably millions of users already within that ecosystem. So if projects wanted to build their own type of capability and they needed to have their own blockchain. Now, the thing is about a layer 1 blockchain, it's expensive to run. We know because we were running it as Horizen and as the Horizen Eon EVM. You've got to have all sorts of nodes and indexers and oracles, and there's just a ton of different infrastructure, and it's actually really expensive. That's not even to mention the security reviews, the updates, and the improvements based upon just security issues or performance improvements that happen. So blockchains require ongoing maintenance improvement in addition to the infrastructure costs. The nice thing about being a layer 3 EVM on top of a layer 2 is that in working with a roll-up as a service provider, you can reduce these ongoing infrastructure costs. So you lower your costs to operate the chain. And you're able to have all the users in the ecosystem know that you exist, and they're happy to have you be part of that. And yes, the transaction fees are much lower. So just like the layer 2 transaction fees are lower than the layer 1 transaction fees, layer 3 transaction fees are even lower than layer 2 transaction fees. And by having the roll-ups and the multiple layers, you inherit the security. So layer 2s are able to use the security of the Ethereum layer 1, and layer 3s are able to use the security of the layer 2 blockchain as well. So your security costs are much lower. And as Zen is capped at 21 million Zen, and as we've gone over the years, the expenses of operating the chain and maintaining the foundation, those add up. We needed to look at keeping our expenses as low as possible going forward if we wanted to continue to be a viable project.
Right, that's interesting, because that might be something that, what you've done, other proof of work coins may also do, because of the cost of keeping it maintained when they've got a fixed supply, as you're saying. Okay, now Zen has been through a number of iterations. We're now on this where it's transitioned to a Web3 chain on Base, really, really low fees, really, really fast. So what are you doing on Base?
Yeah, so what we're doing on Base is we're still focused on our original idea of saying that to bring payment and finance capabilities to people that don't necessarily have an easy access to a bank account or like a US dollar bank account. If there's smart people all over the world that can accomplish things, and just through whatever reason, they may not have access to being able to getting paid in US dollars or European euros or any other things, but and they may not have access easily to a bank account. I've worked to set up bank accounts in other countries, and it's actually pretty difficult. I mean, here in the U.S., anybody can pretty much go open a bank account, but it's not as cut and dried in every country out there. So that was kind of where we started. We said we wanted to be able to have financial capability that people will be able to use in their everyday lives and for building small businesses. And I talked about that earlier with business level privacy. And now as you do these things, say, okay, well, we need to have applications that take the vision and put it into reality. Because you can talk about infrastructure all day long, but until you got an app on your phone that uses that infrastructure, it's not really meaningful to people. So part of what we did as the transition to Base is we funded the DAO. So earlier this year, 16 million of the 21 million Zen had already been mined and distributed. So it's actually a very widely dispersed, fair launched project listed on a ton of different exchanges. We got so many good exchange partners. We're on Coinbase and Binance and Bybit and BitGet and just on a lot of exchanges all over the place. We got good liquidity. There's usually between 10 and $20 million of Zen traded every day. So as a foundational token, we have the ability for people to buy it, sell it, and send it around.
Okay.
So what we did with the other 5 million Zen that was allocated but wasn't mined yet is we minted it and locked it up for 4 years, distributing a little bit at a time to the DAO and the foundation. So in the DAO, what we're doing is we have 1 million Zen over the next 5 years we're providing to people in the form of grants to develop applications to operate on our new blockchain. So we have the ability to pay for really good applications that fit into our vision of providing applications with business level privacy to people.
Wow. And okay, that's amazing, because right now I think let me just have a look. The price of Zen is $7.56. It has been as high as, I think the all-time high was about $143.81. I'm looking at Deco. So 1 million. I mean, right now we're talking about $7.5 million that you're dispersing, but the price is pretty low right now. And you're not
Right. If
dispersing
we
it all at
execute
once.
well, the price should go up. So the value of funds that we're committing to people to build applications on our chain, it's significant.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, point well made. But that's what I was getting to, Rolf. Thank you. So what sort of developments have been made by grant recipients, and what's coming down the pipeline?
Well, so grant programs are actually really hard to run. We reviewed a lot of them, and we saw that many grant programs were set up to either give short-term. They gave money to projects that would do short-term marketing bursts or try to get awareness. What we're looking for is applications that actually have a business plan. We want to prime the pump on these applications, pay them to get going, but the applications have to be designed to be self-sustaining, to pay for themselves. We want the application to come onto the Horizen blockchain, serve a purpose that fits within our vision of using these new zero-knowledge technologies or secure enclave technologies to enable a new application, but it also has to be profitable for the person who built it and deployed it, so they'll continue to build and operate it even after the grant money runs out. So we're working with Thrive. Thrive is really the leading organization in the space for running grants programs. And you can go to horizen.thrive.xyz and see what our grant application looks like. But we've worked closely with Thrive to talk about our vision of what different types of applications we want. And they're across the board. Some of them can be like, basic games. So there's a demo game already that one of our developers did of blackjack. Okay, well, a blackjack game isn't, super unique, but what's unique is when you play a hand of blackjack on Horizen, on our testnet right now, it'll generate a zero-knowledge proof showing that the game was played fairly, that it followed the rules of the card game. And so by saying, okay, we're using these advanced technologies to prove that something was done in a fair way, is really advanced. We're doing another thing around identity. So say that you want to be able to, I don't know, in the UK, are there some websites where you have to show your identification to be able to access the websites now? I heard that. I'm not sure if that's made up or not.
Yeah, Rolf, you're just going to have to imagine my face frowning at what's happening in the UK, sorry. The government have put in, by the way, as well as crypto stuff, I do a lot of political stuff. So they've put in this new act, Online Safety Act, which means for certain websites that the government decides you need to prove age verification. Now, the way around that is with a VPN. So yes, it's accurate that there are websites that ask for age verification. And that's probably going to roll out in the European Union, as well as Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. And I know some states in the US are doing it, but there is pushback in the United States against those states because there are those that are arguing it's a violation of the First Amendment, which I would agree.
I think they get you coming and going on that one, Rich, because either you upload your identification to access the website, or you access the VPN, and then they'll track you through the VPN. Probably. I mean, I don't know how good the VPNs are, but I think they're forcing you into one path or another. But so that's one example, though. You could use a zero-knowledge proof if the regulators allow you to prove that you're over 18 and that you're a person without sharing your name and address and sending them a copy of your identification card. So that's an example of where being able to do zero knowledge with identity makes a person safer and less likely to get scammed.
Absolutely, and that system with the zero knowledge is a whole lot better because the person using it owns their own data and gives the bare minimum that they need to give. But the current system, name, date of birth, credit card details, and God knows what else, and they'll just keep asking for more and more and more and more. So what you're proposing is, I think, a whole lot better. Thank goodness. Okay, please carry on. What else have you got?
Yeah, no, but then those have to be put into applications, and then people have to use the applications, and it's work. It can certainly be done, but those are gaming and proving that something is fair, or identity, and just sharing the minimum amount that you want to is another way of doing things. Another way of using advanced technology like zero knowledge is within the voting and polling. So imagine that if you went to go vote for your local council person or whatever, and it used a more advanced system where you prove that you're a citizen, you vote, and then you can check the results that your vote was actually counted. So this is another type of thing that can be used with zero knowledge, with advanced technology, which to me would be way better than the system we have now, at least here in the US, where you go to an electronic voting machine, you vote, and it says your vote's counted, but you don't really know what's happening to it.
Okay, and I was going to mention that the controversy about the Dominion voting machines in the United States, and they've been used elsewhere, and the result, and you can't audit it, and you don't know if anything's been changed in the back end without the voter knowing. So how does a zero knowledge proof alter that? And isn't there the possibility that that can be rejigged in the back end without the voter knowing?
So one of the things with zero knowledge proof is that it does a mathematical proof that the zero knowledge circuit was run properly. Now, is it possible that the zero knowledge circuit can be designed poorly? Yeah, it is. And there are other ways of making sure that your vote was counted. Like, I think we use the Dominion voting systems here where I'm at. And after you vote, it prints out a paper ballot of what your vote was, and they keep those paper ballots in case they need to do a hand recount. But you're getting to my level of technical limit on how a voting system with advanced cryptographic technology could be provably secure. But I do know there are designs and systems that are able to do that. Now, I'm not suggesting that we roll this out at a national level first. I think for many of these different types of systems, you roll them out in small spaces first. So maybe at your, the local school where people want to choose the student leader or something like that. And so every student can see that their vote was counted and the student leader wasn't just selected by the headmaster, for example, but was actually voted on by all the students. So you start and you refine the systems in smaller spaces like that. And as they prove themselves and they're verified and they stand the test of time and things like that, you can scale them up to bigger ones.
Okay. And I think you and I, with our technical limits, I think the answer could be the fact that zero knowledge proof code is open source and base code, Zen's code, is also open source. So then it's possible for people to check. Like one of the criticisms I hear about Bitcoin is, well, how do you know there aren't any backdoors? Well, because the code's open source and it's been checked thousands of times.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And I think most of the internet runs on Linux, which is open source, and it's constantly being challenged. Nothing's a perfect system, but seeing what's actually running on all the machines and being able to run your own machine about it, to me, is a much more secure way of doing things. So yeah, the Horizen code, as we relaunch the blockchain, well, certainly the smart contracts are already published and they have security reviews. And as we move into relaunching the blockchain, we'll have that as well.
Right. Okay. Again, for anybody listening, you want to go check this project out, HORIZEN.io, and this is a small cap cryptocurrency that Grayscale thinks that it should be, holds on a par with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So worth taking a look. Okay, Rolf, anything else you want to let us know?
I mean, those are the big picture things. There's, a lot of work, but I feel that we're in a much better space as a project now than we were a year ago. We are on new technology. We've reduced our costs significantly. We've funded the foundation. We have a clear vision. We probably need to do a slightly better job of communicating what that vision is and what our roadmap is. But we have, solid group of supporters that have been with us for a long time, like yourself. Solid group of backers, great exchange presence. We're still continuing to improve. So I think that Horizen is a project that's going to continue to be around. And, we've gotten closer and closer each of these iterations to finding product market fit on what's going to really work well in the crypto space. So I'm very happy that we're part of the base ecosystem. And looking forward to all the different applications that people are putting in for the grants that they're going to develop on the chain when it's launched. So appreciate the opportunity to speak to your listeners
Yes,
Rich. This
absolutely.
is a great forum.
Yeah, and I'm not finished with you yet, by the way, unless you got to go. Right. So, you Zen has survived two bear markets, which is two bear markets more than most cryptocurrencies. So that's another credit to you, right? And it sounds like you're in a much better space than you have been in the past, from what you're saying and from looking at how the coin has performed, now a token, in for what's coming up with the next bear market. So again, that says something about your longevity and the how well I think it's run. And then you were saying about communication, because I remember the website was Horizen.global, and you did all this stuff about educating people about cryptocurrencies. There's great stuff on that. What happened to that?
It's still there somewhere, I'm sure. It was the Horizen Academy.
Oh, okay.
I'm not as much on the marketing side. I do know if you go to Horizen.global, it redirects to Horizen.io. Um, there's a lot of new projects in the space. There's a lot of new information. The technology changes. I go to the Ethereum conferences, and they're full of energy and developers and new ideas. And I was just at a Bitcoin conference recently, and I know Bitcoin's the big players in the space and the OG. But the Bitcoin conference, half of it was about Bitcoin mining. It was it wasn't about new applications and building new financial rails. It was about Bitcoin as a store of value and a way to transfer value anywhere in the world, which is really important. But at this point, unless there's some significant improvement with Bitcoin, I don't see it as being the new version of the financial rails. So a lot of the Horizen Academy explained a lot of the existing technology, and it was continuing and going well. We'll have to see if we can dig that back up. I'm glad
Well,
you noticed and appreciated that.
well, I completely get how it very quickly becomes out of date with the developments, happening at the pace that they are happening. But it was a great resource. I want to go to the DeFi developments, because you were going to talk about that earlier, and then I interrupted you. Are there any DeFi developments, major DeFi developments that you want to let us know about that we haven't covered?
So there is what we've noticed in talking to people, and so we're talking to people a lot about what they actually want to use and what they would use from an application standpoint. And if you look at it from a standpoint of a small business, a business that has 5 to 50 employees, and I talked about this earlier, you want to have business level privacy, but you also have to work with your local regulators in your local jurisdiction. And so what we're recommending to people as they build out these applications to apply for grants is that if you are building something that has some level of privacy, that you also make it a way to be optionally regulatory compliant. And this it would be, we all have to operate in our city, in our state, in our country, and follow the laws that our community has put in place, whether we agree with those or not. Because if you don't, then over time you'll end up being put in prison. So businesses are in the same way, where they have to operate within the regulatory constraints. And a lot of the regulatory constraints are, if the taxing authority or the political authority or the regulators ask you for your records, you have to produce them. So as the crypto space grows, and if we really want to take over the complete financial operations of businesses and people and governments and everything else, I think we have to acknowledge that there has to be a way that when served a subpoena or some other valid regulatory request, that an application is able to provide the record of those transactions. So that's kind of one of the things that I believe that you're going to see from the applications that we're going to be approving, and it could be from a form of a decentralized exchange where people can't see who's making the trades, or a prediction market, anonymous prediction market, or it could be other different types of things. So think of any type of the decentralized finance applications, whether it's borrow, lend, or trading, or escrow, or other things like that. And think about how, okay, if you have a really big success in a lottery or in a poly market win or something like that, and you win a lot of money, all of a sudden there's perhaps criminals that are targeting you. So having an element of privacy is really good to that, but it's not like you're trying to break the laws locally. So it's kind of a narrow path that you have to thread to be able to add elements of privacy and stay in compliance with local regulators. And so that's, to me, that's the concern and the issue, and maybe one of the sticking points for what's preventing wider adoption of crypto these days.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, Rolf. Is there anything else you want to say before we finish up?
Well, I do encourage you to go claim your Zen. And I've been using the base app on my phone, and it's a great app to use. It's very easy. Got my NFTs there. Got easy access to Uniswap and Aerodrome and other applications like that. So go through the process, claim your Zen, do some things on base with it, and as we launch our app chain, you're going to have a chance to try some of these new applications. We are having hackathons, hacker houses. We're going to different crypto events to get the word out of how Horizen has successfully managed the transition and has really set ourselves up to succeed.
Yes. No, thank you so much for that. And the other thing to acknowledge, and for those of you that are listening to this, I do apologize if it seems like I'm gushing over Zen. But I come across so many cryptocurrency projects that make lots and lots of promises, lots and lots of puff, and then after a while they disappear. And it's quite something, I think, to find a cryptocurrency project like Zen that's been around for so long and is getting stronger and stronger and stronger over time. And I think one of the strengths that you and Rob and the rest of the team bring is the adaptability, the willing to dance with whatever life and the blockchain throws at you. So thank you so much. Everybody, please do check this out. If you click on Rolf V, if you're listening to the X Space, and then you can get to follow him, and then through his X profile, you can find the links to Horizen and go check this project out. And this will be out on my channels. Thank you to the Coin Republic, and thank you to everybody for listening. This is Crypto Rich and Zen Rolf signing out. All the best. Bye bye.
Bye bye.